Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and we have a pretty interesting video today. We're going to be trying to get better fuel economy in the TRX. Obviously, gas prices are at an all-time high, and you know, it's not exactly the most economical thing to drive a 700 horsepower supercharged V8 truck that, you know, is rated 10 around town and 14 on the highway. But apparently, if I put the truck in snow mode, then I should get phenomenal fuel economy. I have a pretty long commute today. I'm most likely going to be commuting over 200 miles today, most likely. Everything's always kind of like up in the air with my schedule. That's just how it is with dealerships and car availability and all that kind of stuff. But anyways, it'll be interesting to see if the TRX actually gets better fuel economy in the snow mode. And so yeah, with that being said, let's just hop right into it. A lot of people commented in my last video that my trucks are squished into the garage, and yes, you are correct. Look at this coming out of the garage. You guys can see here, I've got the front camera on, but like, look, okay, so I've got it straight. So like everything is measured up pretty well, so I shouldn't have to, okay, so you guys can see right here, like look how close the mirrors are on either side. And the mirrors are the widest point with the TRX. Pretty much not, I mean, I've got like a couple inches, maybe not even a couple inches, like an inch on either side. And then you guys can see here in the mirror view with the little TRX hip. So you can see it's got quite a bit of space. Well, it's kind of hard to tell on that side. Then you guys can see here on the other side, quite a bit of space. But yeah, definitely, it's a tight fit. It's nerve-wracking. Getting out's not too bad. It's backing into it. And I always kind of like bumped into that little branch with the truck. I've actually trimmed a few of the branches, but I'm probably going to be cutting down this tree soon. But anyways, you guys can see right now 8.4 miles per gallon. That was just because of, you guys can see it's going down because of startup. But I average usually around 9 to 10 miles per gallon. So let's see if I can get any better by doing snow mode. Okay, so we got the TRX drive modes. You guys can see all the different drive modes. We're going to pop into snow mode. So you can see transmission, snow, paddle shifters on, stability control full, and then suspension, steering, street. So you can compare that to auto mode. So notice the only thing that changes is the transmission and the stability control. So here's my guess before we get into the video, is my personal guess is that if this does get better fuel economy, the reason it's going to get better fuel economy is I'm guessing the transmission, right? Obviously snow, it's probably going to shift at a lower RPM or something that'll help get better fuel economy. And then if the stability control is fully on rather than just in street mode, then what that means is there's going to be absolutely no slipping whatsoever. If there's no slipping, more power is being put to the ground, which again means better fuel economy. That's at least my guess. And so yeah, with that being said, I'm also going to reset the fuel economy right before I head off. And yeah, we'll see what it does on my normal daily commute, if I can get better than 10 miles to yeah, 9 to 10 miles per gallon. I threw the GoPro on for a second so I can kind of talk about how the snow mode drives. Obviously, this is like the start of the test, so this isn't like final fuel economy rating or anything. I still have to do my full commute today. But let's talk about the snow mode for a second. So what I noticed around town is the throttle seemed to be a little bit less responsive compared to normal. So there is that you can definitely like perceive right off the bat, is when you put your foot on the throttle, it feels like it has like more of a dead zone kind of. It's moving, but it's not moving at quite the rate that it was before. Now getting on the highway, I'm just using adaptive cruise control. So this is just matching the speed to the person in front of me at a set distance. And here's what I've noticed is it doesn't downshift as often. And when it does downshift, it will shift at a much lower RPM when it's accelerating. So like, and when I'm in auto mode, it'll, you know, sometimes go pretty hard onto the throttle to like catch up to the next person if someone moves out of my lane. Whereas in the snow mode, it'll basically go up to like 3,000 RPMs and then it'll shift. And so it seems like it's, again, like trying to keep it into a higher gear, which I'm not sure how that would be good in the snow, because in the snow, I mean, depends on the snow conditions, but you're not going to want to be at super, super low RPMs, because then you're not going to be, you know, spinning at all. But yeah, aside from that, it, you know, from, I guess like from a daily driver comfort perspective, it's not annoying at all, because the TRX has so much power, 702 horsepower from the factory, 650 pound-feet of torque. So like, even in this, you know, quote-unquote neutered state where the throttle isn't as responsive and the truck shifts at lower RPMs, it's still, like, you guys can see, I'm keeping up with the flow of traffic perfectly fine in the, what's supposed to be the quote-unquote passing lane. But if you guys live in Utah, you understand this isn't really a passing lane, because people just get in this lane and then camp and drive really slow. they eventually move out of the way, and then it allows us to get a little bit farther along. And look at this, perfect example. Gets up to like 3,000 RPMs, shift. Shift. Like it won't go higher up into the RPM range, which is kind of interesting. And so far you guys can see we're averaging in the mid 13s, which, like I said, I usually average like 9 to 10 miles per gallon. So I'm already doing a lot better and I know some people are gonna be like, wow, 13 miles per gallon, that sucks. Yeah, but again, you gotta remember, full-size pickup truck, it's technically four-wheel drive all the time, right? And it's 700 horsepower, and the fact that, I mean, there's people that are watching this that I'm sure they own like a, you know, an older Toyota. When I say older, I mean not the new twin turbo Toyota Tundra. They're like, wow, you're able to get this kind of fuel economy. I'm getting like 10 miles per gallon in my Tundra with a 6-speed automatic and a 5.7 V8 with less than 400 horsepower. So, look, boom, we just crested 14 miles per gallon. 14 miles per gallon. And you guys gotta also remember, I am at about 4,500 feet elevation above sea level. So I'm not in ideal conditions for engine performance. And we're also not going at like 60 miles an hour, which is what, you know, a lot of these highway tests are tested at, right? When the EPA does their rating, I think it's at like 60, 65 miles an hour. We've been going over 70 the whole time because, again, with the flow of traffic. Wow. It'll be interesting to see what the final results are, but this is pretty interesting. And so if we do the math, if we get 14, 15 miles per gallon, 33 gallon fuel tank, we're gonna have like over 400 miles of driving range in a TRX. That's much better than the like 300 miles I usually get. 100 more miles. That's, I mean, think about the money savings. If a gallon of gas is about, you know, for premium about $5 per gallon, and we add another 100 miles, right? So 15 miles, we'll just say 15 miles per gallon. Well, maybe we'll get up to that, maybe we won't, we'll see. But we'll just say 15 miles per gallon to make math easy. So 30, 60, 90, right? And so, yeah, that's actually quite a bit of money per like fill up right now. I mean, 20, 30 bucks extra, well, more than that, more like 30 bucks per fill up that I'd be saving just by putting it in snow mode. And then you multiply 30 bucks, you know, it depends on how much you drive, but like, let's say you do that, you fill up once a week, 30 bucks a week, multiplied by 52 weeks, and wow, saving a lot of money. So we've made it to our first destination, and we have 13.7 miles per gallon on average. Now, a lot of it was uphill, and the speed as we got through Utah County and up into Salt Lake County did increase quite a bit because drivers in Salt Lake County just like driving faster. So I'm sure that, you know, being uphill and then also the higher speed kind of contributed to the fuel economy dropping slightly, but that's still pretty good. If you guys are wondering, we're at the Mercedes-Benz of Farmington right here, which is an awesome dealership because, well, they have a bunch of cool Mercedes models and they take care of their customers. That's why I actually work with them and not the other dealers right now in Salt Lake, is just because the Farmington dealership just does a better job with like their customer relations and all that. And if I'm going to support a business, I'm going to support the business that's going to take care of you guys. But anyways, we'll see what happens when I drive back down. So we just made it to our second destination, National GMC in American Fork. We are at 13.9 miles per gallon now, so we've slightly increased from a fuel economy standpoint, which is actually pretty solid overall. And for those of you that live in Utah, yes, I basically drove from southern Utah County to Farmington, and now we're back in like central-ish Utah County. Welcome to my life of driving a million miles a day. Anyways, let's move on. Okay, so we are back after our, well, grocery shopping. I got some bananas and all the filming today and everything. Drove about 200 miles roughly. 13.8 miles per gallon is what I averaged, which I think is quite impressive. I mean, considering that's like almost 4 miles per gallon. Well, actually, that is 4 miles per gallon better than what I normally get because I'm usually at like 9.7, 9.8. So that is 4 miles per gallon better than what I normally get. And let me just kind of put this all into context. So just to put this into context, me getting an extra 4 miles per gallon is going to save me about $2,400 per year with current fuel prices. That is crazy. That is like, that's like the front bumper plus the light bar and the fog lights and everything. That is a truck accessory worth of gas that we will be saving with this new snow mode, which I think is absolutely fantastic. It's just crazy like how a drive mode could affect the fuel economy by that much. And if you guys are wondering how I got that, basically, I'm assuming that I usually average like high nines, which is what I usually average. So it's a 4 mile per gallon 4 mile per gallon difference. Gosh, I cannot talk today whatsoever. I'm at the end of it. I've reviewed so many cars and my brain's just like gone. And so that gives me about another 132 miles per tank, because this has a 33 gallon fuel tank. Man, this is gonna be so dicey. People are gonna be like, Ben, I don't understand what you're talking about. It's okay, I understand. So anyways, fuel tank, 33 gallons, okay? That means I get 132 miles more every single fill up, and 132 miles times 52 weeks in a year, it adds up to like almost 7,000 miles extra per year is what I'm gonna get out of the TRX with how much I drive, which then turns into $2,400 that I'd save. I basically did $5 per gallon with gas. We don't know if gas prices are going to go up more or if they're going to go down. Who knows? I just did an average price of $5 per gallon, because that's roughly what it is for premium right now. And another thing to put this into context is, again, supercharged V8, 700 horsepower. The Gen 3 Raptor with 37s, okay, gets about 16-ish miles per gallon on average. Now, you can't do the whole snow mode thing with the Raptor, because if you put the Raptor in snow mode, it puts it into 4-wheel auto, which would get worse fuel economy than if I just had it in 2-wheel drive. So I'm going to try to figure out some sort of like fuel economy hack with the Raptor. But regardless, I'm getting basically 2 miles per gallon less in the TRX than the Raptor, and I have, what, 250 more horsepower? So like, this is a win. This means that the TRX is pretty much, I mean, it's not as economical as the Raptor, but I mean, would you rather have a twin turbo V6 or a supercharged V8 for about the same amount of money per year with gas? So that's pretty much going to sum things up for our video today. Hopefully that helps you guys out. It's crazy that just changing the drive mode can increase the fuel economy that much. Most vehicles, when you change from like normal to eco mode, it barely changes anything. But with the TRX, apparently it turns into a Prius basically, which is, yeah, just crazy to think about. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this whole thing. And with that being said, I will see all of you in that next video.